Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring the incredible life and the truly enduring legacy of Ludwig Ingwer Nommensen. He was a German missionary, and his lifelong dedication completely transformed North Sumatra. We're going to look at how just one person's unwavering commitment managed to reshape the spiritual, educational, and social landscape of an entire region. It's an amazing story.
So you might be wondering, who exactly was this apostle to the Bataks? Well, Ludwig Ingwer Nommensen didn't just visit a distant land for a quick trip. He completely embedded himself there. But to really understand how his journey helped build one of the largest Lutheran churches in the world, we have to start at a moment that honestly almost ended his story before it even began.
Okay, let's dive into this. Nommensen was born into a Christian family of fairly modest means in Germany, but at just 12 years old, disaster struck. His legs were severely crushed by a horse-drawn wagon. It was brutal, and doctors told him he'd probably never walk again. It was right there, during this incredibly dark and painful period, that young Ludwig made a profound vow. He said that if God healed him, he would completely dedicate his life to serving as a missionary.
And against literally all medical odds, Nommensen did gradually regain his ability to walk. This physical healing basically cemented his calling. He enrolled in the Rhenish Missionary Society seminary over in Wuppertal, just fully immersing himself in theology and languages. And then finally, in 1862, he made the massive journey to Padang in the Dutch East Indies, heading straight into the interior of North Sumatra to live among the largely isolated Batak people. And this brilliantly illustrates what made him so different. You see, previous missionary efforts in this exact region had seen very, very limited success. Why? Well, largely because earlier missionaries kept their distance. They viewed the area as difficult or even dangerous. But Nommensen? He took a radical approach for his time. He absolutely refused to isolate himself in some European compound. Instead, he chose to live directly among the Batak people. He learned their specific language, respected their customs, and really built deep mutual trust. So how did he build that trust? Through a very holistic approach. He didn't just show up and immediately start preaching. No, he actually invested in the everyday needs of the community first. He provided much-needed medical care, he promoted sustainable agriculture to help them grow food, and he heavily encouraged education. It was only as he was actively improving their daily lives that he presented the Christian faith, and he did it in a way that truly resonated with local understanding. Keep in mind, this wasn't just some localized, temporary effort. Nommensen was building a lasting infrastructure. His multi-pronged ministries established real, physical foundations all across the region. We're talking schools that drastically increased local literacy rates, training centers for teachers, seminaries for local pastors, and formalized medical services. He was actively equipping the Batak people with the tools they needed for self-sustaining growth. Nommensen held this absolute core belief. Christian teaching must be completely accessible. People needed to be able to read God's word in their native tongue. So, to make this a reality, he took on the massive scholarly task of translating both the New Testament and Martin Luther's Small Catechism directly into the Toba Batak language. He wanted to ensure this movement was truly theirs, not just some foreign import. Let's move to and see how this builds. Because as hundreds of new congregations were being established, this rapidly growing movement desperately needed a structured fellowship. So in 1881, Nommensen became the first aphorist, which is essentially a bishop-like leader, of the Huria Kristen Batak Protestan, or the HKBP. Under his leadership, the churches were organized into districts, pastoral training became standardized, and they put clear leadership structures in place. Now, it's also absolutely vital to understand the historical backdrop of his ministry. Nommensen's time in North Sumatra took place right in the middle of a deeply complex era of Dutch colonial expansion. The region was seeing intense conflict between expanding Dutch authorities and local Batak rulers, most notably the resistance led by Sisingamangaraja Raja XII. So Nommensen's ministry was happening smack in the middle of these shifting geopolitical power struggles. And because of this historical overlap, some modern scholars continue to actively debate aspects of missionary involvement during this colonial era. From Nommensen's own perspective, his primary role was just to advance his work and protect his newly established Christian communities amid all the unrest. However, historians looking back today continue to analyze and discuss the highly complex dynamics between European missionaries and the colonial authorities of the time. Moving to the end of his personal journey, Ludwig Ingwer Nommensen passed away on May 23, 1918. He was 84 years old. He died right there in Sigampar, surrounded by the very community he had dedicated his entire life to, and that is exactly where he was buried. Today, his grave in Sigampar is not just a historical marker. It remains a deeply important site, frequently visited by Christians and church leaders from all across Indonesia who travel there just to honor the historical roots of their faith. So the crucial point is 56. 56 years. Take a moment to just let that sink in. That is the amount of time Nommensen spent entirely devoted to serving the Batak people. He didn't just do a short little stint overseas and then run back to a comfortable life in Germany. From the moment he arrived until the day he died, he stayed. It is a staggering demonstration of singular focus. And the results of those 56 years, they are absolutely massive. By laying those early foundations of literacy, healthcare, and indigenous leadership, he sparked a movement that grew exponentially. Today, the HKBP has millions of members worldwide. It stands as one of the largest Lutheran churches in all of Asia. On top of that, his dedication to education continues to thrive today through Universitas HKBP Nommensen. Ultimately, Nommensen was driven by a very core philosophy. The gospel should transform both hearts and communities. He didn't believe in a faith that only lived inside your mind. By combining his evangelism with very real, practical, boots-on-the-ground compassion, he ensured that his impact was felt in the everyday social and physical realities of the Batak people, just as much as in their spiritual lives. Which brings us to a final question I want to leave you with today. How can one individual's lifelong dedication continue to literally echo through the centuries? When we pair unwavering dedication with genuine, holistic care for the people around us, what kind of lasting impact could we leave behind? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I will see you next time.